Hey Paul, this is Blair. This is just a quick video run through of how you're going to access the soccer page, how you're going to add announcements, how you're going to add practices and games, and then once you actually start playing, how you can start adding scores once you play the games. So when you first sign in, you're probably going to see a screen like this. Under groups, you're going to go to varsity soccer. Um, Kathy's already put in a bunch of the information that you had sent before. I was just in here and actually added some events for your soccer tryouts. There's there's events and there's actually games and practices. And games actually take scores and you can see down here it records the stats. So I didn't want to put them in there, and they're not really practices because they're tryouts. So I added them just as events, and you add those in different places. If you wanted to add games, you would go under the schedule, and we'll get in there in a minute. So if you hit enter mode here, you're going to come to this funky looking page like this, and under events is where I added your, let's go up to here. So this is where I added your soccer tryouts, and I just had to repeat because it's the exact same thing at the same time, so I had to repeat from October 31st through November 4th. And we can edit any one of these. Basically, I just put the date, then to then, soccer tryouts, and under location, I just chose, I'm assuming you're going to be on the grass field, maybe not, but that'll be in the same place. And I just hit save. So that is adding events. Once games are in and you're playing, you're going to have your games listed under scoreboard here, and you would actually go in and enter the score versus whoever you're playing. If you want to post announcements for your parents and students, this actually goes to the no, announcements don't go to the public page. This is once your team is selected, but you would basically just hit add, headline, your description, and just hit save. And what that's going to do is basically publish it to the My Brophy page. Anything you really want to publish on the front end, the public side, you're going to want to send that to Kathy, and then Kathy will post it for you. We've got your Facebook thing here. Statistics will be calculated automatically once you start entering wins and losses. And then to get back, this is a little tricky. Basically, you hit back to bulletin board, and that takes you back to the starting page. Schedule, this is where you can add games or practices. You can actually add practices in bulk because typically the same time, the same day. So I've got your schedule up here. So we're going to have the first schedule. We'll just pick the 7th. And, whoops, it's a practice. 7th. So 3, 15, it goes by the half hour. And you can choose, these are all local, but there's no address involved. If you think there's anyone that needs to know on a map how to see this, you can just choose Brophy Sports Campus. You don't really have to worry about the transportation or dismissal time and stuff because this is after school where we're not really using that, but you just hit save. And so you now have a practice that will show up on your calendar. So once you have your team selected, we would actually add the students, and then by adding the students, students have access to the schedule as do their parents. You can actually view this on a calendar view. And we are in September, so we need to go to October and November. So there's your first practice. And actually, because we chose the sports campus, it actually will pull up a map of where the sports campus is. Although I'm assuming our guys will know that. Okay, so bulk practices, you can actually add the date ranges and then like what days you practice, what times you practice, and this will actually automatically exclude. So if you post a game, it'll obviously you're not practicing that day. If we're going to add a game, let's see, again, you play Gilbert on November 29th. So 29th. 6 p.m. it says. It is home, it looks like. So we're just going to say And this is so that if somebody else comes to our website and they need the address, they can pull up that map. So under opponents, we have a lot of opponents added. This is basically a list of 6A and 5A that Bill gave me. If you find that you're playing somebody that's not on this list, just shoot me their name and address, and I will add them. And we'll probably be adding for the first year or so. So you're playing Gilbert, so we will choose Gilbert. And literally that's it. I'm assuming this is a league game, so you would choose league. I know you guys play some tournaments, so you have the option to play tournaments as well. And you just hit save. So we now have a game on, and so if this will actually publish on the public side of the website, so people could actually click on this and get driving directions from wherever it is they're coming from. So if they're coming from Gilbert, that's a long ways out. They may not know where we are. So under settings, we want to publish the schedule. Yes. So once we publish this, this will actually show up on the calendar. So if I switch views, we go to the end of October. So our soccer tryouts have shown up. Those events that I added, they are now on the calendar. Let's see, next month. So varsity soccer, there's that first practice we put in. And then there's our varsity soccer game versus Gilbert at home, directions and details. So the calendar on the backside that we have, as you're adding these events, they actually get added to the athletics calendar. And then also under games and practices is where your athletes and parents will see it. This will show up in the front side calendar as well. It's going to take a little while for that to publish over. So I know I'm kind of rambling here. Let's see, roster. Once you know who your basically team is going to be, you can just start typing in the last name and basically pick the student that you want to stick in there as your athletes. Coaches, I think you had a couple coaches that are not on-campus coaches. If you want them listed, I'm going to have to create accounts for them. If you can send me their email address, we'll just make them coaches. Otherwise, they can be listed in the news section. That's sort of up to you how you want that to look. If you have any other questions, just let me know. Let's see, roster. If you want to email your parents in bulk, you will actually be able to hit parents, and what it's going to do is once you have parents, all of their email addresses will populate in here, and you can just copy that and say paste it into, if you use Gmail, you can paste it into the Gmail. Ideally, you're going to put it in that BCC column so that nobody's seeing anybody else's email addresses, but that's how you can easily bulk email parents. You can also do the same thing with students. There's reports in here if you have interested. I don't know how much you're going to be interested in that. So there's the schedule and the team page. And like I said, once you start putting the events, let's see. I don't know if they're going to show up yet. It's not letting me hit the button. So let's go athletics. So there's that one schedule we put in there. So there's your first game. So this is on the public site and what people are going to see. And then so if I'm on the Gilbert team, I can actually click this and it's going to open with a map and tell us where to go. And then obviously this information gets updated as you're playing games and you start adding scores in there. In a nutshell, that's it. I've kind of rambled longer than I wanted, but if you have any questions, just shoot me an email. Thanks.